I'm Ramona Trevino, and I am a former Planned Parenthood manager. I used to manage a non-abortion facility in Sherman, Texas for 3 years, and I'm now a pro-life speaker and advocate for life. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now since I left Planned Parenthood. I think it's really important to keep in mind that not all Planned Parenthoods, and in this case, in this situation, I can speak to Planned Parenthoods, not privately owned abortion facilities. But in reference to Planned Parenthood, it's important to keep in mind that not all Planned Parenthoods do abortions. For example, when I was working for Planned Parenthood of North Texas, we had 28 facilities, and 2 of those were surgical facilities. So out of those 28, only 2 performed abortions. So that means that the other 26 did not perform abortions. And those were the type of locations that I worked at. And so when being a sidewalk counselor, I think it's very important to keep in mind that there are other locations that may not be doing abortions. And your presence is very important outside of those facilities as it is in front of an abortion facility. For example, in the Sherman Planned Parenthood, there were women who were making the decision to abort their children or their baby. And for example, when they would come into our location, they were on the fence and they were wanting confirmation about their pregnancy. So when we gave them confirmation, at that moment, they were making that decision whether to abort, to go the route of adoption, or even to go the route of keeping their child. At these Planned Parenthood facilities, there is not a lot of options to give women who are struggling or who are afraid. If their result comes out positive, they don't know what to do. They may have decided, yes, I want to have an abortion, but you have to remember that the clinic workers are not equipped to give information to these women who are abortion minded. So that's where a sidewalk counselor could come into play. That person on the sidewalk could mean the difference between life and death for a woman walking in there and coming out, because really they could be the person that intercepts that woman from going on to an abortion facility. The other women that you have to think about are the young women who are coming in, who are living a promiscuous lifestyle, who are being, given contraceptives and maybe or could be in abusive relationships, or even multiple relationships with older men, which we actually saw on a frequent basis, really. So that's another thing to consider. So when you're thinking about standing on the sidewalk, there are so many women who you could minister to in regards to chastity and purity. Also, not only that, but women who maybe want to revert to chastity and purity, who have maybe led a certain lifestyle that is not working for them, and they may be very broken and may be looking for help. Well, Planned Parenthood does not resolve that for them. Planned Parenthood just continues to give them birth control and send them on their way. So that's something to keep in mind. Another type of woman that you can take into consideration are the women who maybe are not using birth control, but who are seeking emergency contraception, maybe either for the first time or on a regular basis. We also saw a lot of that in our clinics, women who repeatedly came in for a Plan B or emergency contraception. So in order to be able to minister to these women and tell them the truth about contraception and abortifacient type of drugs such as Plan B and emergency contraception, you have to have somebody out there and available for them in order for them to get that information, because they're not going to get it inside of those clinics. Another important thing to keep in mind is that a lot of women are coming back to these types of facilities after they've had an abortion. And so when you think about your presence on the sidewalk, there's a perfect opportunity to reach out to a woman who has come back to Planned Parenthood after receiving an abortion at a surgical facility, and she's coming back to these non-abortion facilities to get started on a form of contraception. And so that's something that we saw frequently. In particular, I remember a young woman who was having a very difficult time after she had had an abortion. And we were not equipped to help her in any way. We had no resources, no healing information for her. we struggled to find something for this woman. So she had come back to our facility after having an abortion just a few weeks prior and was really struggling and didn't know how to deal with it. And fortunately, we had a nurse practitioner at the time who cared enough to get online to look for some information that could help her. But later we were shot down about some of the information that we'd provided her with out of fear that these facilities that we were sending her to could be judgmental in some way. But I think if we have a presence out on the sidewalk of, these prayerful people who are there to offer hope and healing, nobody inside of that Planned Parenthood clinic is going to be able to offer that to these women. And so it's crucial, really, really crucial, to be outside of these non-abortion facilities as sidewalk counselors. And oftentimes we don't think about the non-abortion facilities as being a place that's important for a sidewalk counselor. But it really, truly is. And it could be, the first line of defense, even more so than being outside of an abortion facility.